Just a day before the first presidential debate, polls show President Obama with a lead over Mitt Romney. But many political analysts warn that those surveys may not be accurate.
Well, they say many of the polls favor the president and Democrats. Mark Martin reports on one of this year's biggest political controversies.
The latest mainstream media polls in battleground states like Ohio and Florida show President Obama with noticeable leads over Mitt Romney. However, analysts like Dick Morris, Karl Rove, and CBN News political analyst John Waggy say not so fast.
Some of the state-by-state polls have shown a jump for Obama over Romney at a time when they were close. But a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, these polls are having a huge sampling, some say an oversampling of Democrats.
Democrat voter turnout was historically high 4 years ago, but Waggy says these days pollsters are still using models for states like Ohio and Florida based on 2008 numbers.
There's no real indication that the turnout from Democrats is going to be that high this election, and so if you're oversampling Democrats, these polls are going to be skewed way off toward the president and away from Mitt Romney.
Some in the media are even writing columns that Romney should throw in the towel. Waggy says that's ridiculous.
We haven't even had a debate yet. There are going to be 3 presidential and vice presidential debates. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Romney may be a bit behind in some of these key states, but it's very close at the national level, and give the voters time to take a look at both candidates competing against each other and see what they want to do.
Mark Martin, CBN News.
Well, there's an election coming up. I hope you are registered to vote. If you're not registered, we've got something for you on CBN.com where you can check your state. All you have to do is click on your state, and it'll tell you how you can get registered. This is an important election, so make sure you vote. Well, once the election is over, politicians in Washington are going to have to make some tough choices, including decisions about how much you pay in taxes. Lee Webb has that story from the CBN newsroom. Lee?
That's right, Gordon. Middle-class families could see a huge tax increase next year if politicians in Washington can't reach an agreement on the Bush-era tax cuts. They're set to expire at the end of this year. If they can't agree, taxes would go up for everyone. The Tax Policy Center says families making between $40,000 and $64,000 a year would see an increase of $2,000. That hike would cost taxpayers more than $500 billion. Economists warn the tax hikes and government spending cuts could mean another recession. Well, France's social security system will soon cover the total cost of an abortion. Agency France Presse reports the move is part of a group of reforms aimed at making abortions more accessible for all women in France. Abortions will be available at every major hospital in that country. The Smithsonian Channel has delayed a documentary about an archaeological discovery in which Jesus reportedly refers to a wife. Harvard University professor Karen King released the fragment of a papyrus last month. Dr. King says it doesn't prove Jesus was married, only that some early Gnostic Christians believed he was. Scholars question the authenticity of that fragment, however, and some call it a forgery. The documentary was set to air this Sunday. The Smithsonian Channel says it put the film on hold until the document undergoes additional tests. A new air date will be announced in the coming weeks. Sounds like there's some doubts about this, Gordon.
I wish the doubts had been fully aired before that professor went public with a news conference. And it's the old adage, the lie goes around the world before the truth has a chance to get out of bed. When you see these things, whether it's some new gospel that's found in the desert in Egypt or some new theory about early Christians, I want you to keep one word in mind. It's one of the early church fathers. His name is Irenaeus. He was a disciple of Polycarp. Polycarp was a disciple of John, the Apostle John, who wrote the book of John. And Irenaeus came out with a list of the books of the New Testament. And that has been the foundation stone for the church, the Christian church, ever since. And Irenaeus himself wrote against these various sects cropping up that are now called the Gnostics, and there are a whole variety of them. And one of the main criticisms he had is they were sexual libertines. And that's why you're seeing this stuff come out, as, you know, was Jesus ever married to Mary Magdalene, all that kind of stuff. It's bad scholarship. It's not even good archaeology. And if this thing turns out to be a forgery, well, I hope the Smithsonian Channel says we'll never air it.